Hey, what's up? Unbiased Buckets here. In the past few weeks, we've seen some atrocious top 10 lists from companies like ESPN, and I think I can make a much better and more compelling list. With that said, here are my top 10 players for the 2022-2023 NBA season. At the number 10 spot, I have Jimmy Butler. Jimmy was left out of a lot of companies' top 10 lists, and players like Ja Morant and Devin Booker were put ahead of him, which I think is just flat out wrong. Jimmy has shown he can put a team on his back and lead them straight to the finals, and almost even winning a championship. He's a very capable scorer and playmaker, but even better, he's one of the top defenders in the league. Although I don't see him keeping his place in the top 10 in the next coming years, because of players like Devin Booker and Ja Morant, I still see him being very good this season and keeping this spot. Coming in at number 9, I have Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi's in a very weird situation, as if he weren't coming off of injury right now, he'd easily be in my top 5. Many factors play into his lower placement here. One being that he's coming off of injury and the uncertainty that comes from that. Another being recency bias, because we haven't seen him play in over a year now. But overall, if he comes back the same as he was pre-injury, he'll be an easy top 5 player, as he is arguably the best two-way player in the league. Coming in at number 8, I have Jason Tatum. Although some people may say this is a little too low for him, I think it's pretty fair, as I don't really see an argument for him being better than anyone ahead of him. This doesn't mean that he isn't good though, as he's still in my top 10. Tatum is one of the best shot creators in the league and has very underrated defense. To add to this, his team is coming off of a finals run where he played very good in the playoffs until the finals. Overall, Jason Tatum deserves to be in this top 10, although I might not have him as high as other people might have him. At number 7, I have LeBron James. Although yes, he's not the consensus number 1 or number 2 player in the league anymore, he's still a great player, and going into year number 20, I really don't see him falling off. I have to admit, it does feel weird having him this low, but honestly I can't justify putting him any higher, as I think the 6 players ahead of him are just better. Despite this, LeBron is still great at almost everything, except for maybe his sometimes questionable defense. Like I said before, LeBron is easily a top 10 player in the league right now, and I wish I could have him higher. At number 6, I have Luca Doncic. Luca is probably the best young player in the league right now, and he's fresh off of a Western Conference Finals run. And I think with his continued consistent play, and with the addition of better players, he'll be much more effective on the court and his team will win more, which will lead him to earning the number 6 spot on this list. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he ends the year higher. Moving into the top 5, at number 5 I have Kevin Durant. Similar to LeBron, it feels pretty weird having Kevin Durant this low on the list, as he's normally the number 1 or number 2 player. The main reason for me not having him at 1 or 2 though is really just him missing a lot of time last season because of injury. Although I do think if the Nets play good and if he's able to remain healthy, he can very likely regain the title of being the best player in the world. Moving on to number 4, I have Joel Embiid. I have pretty high hopes for Joel Embiid going into the season, as I predicted him to win MVP this year in my award prediction video. Check that out if you haven't. And I truly think he will, barring injury. Embiid can do everything on the floor at an elite level, and I think going into the season he's going to be at number 4 and he'll probably move up a little bit. At number 3 on my list, I have Nikola Jokic. This is really the only spot on the list where I could really interchange things, this being the obvious Jokic versus Embiid debate. But honestly, I think Jokic is just a better player. Although yes, Joel is a better defensive player, Jokic is the best big man passer of all time and is just way better statistically. Despite this, given a full healthy year of Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic, I think this is a very close debate, and I would consider putting Embiid over Jokic. But as for now, Jokic remains as the best center in the league and at number 3 on my list. At number 2, I have Steph Curry. Steph is fresh off his 4th ring and his first finals MVP. To add to this, he's looking about as good as he has ever looked. And honestly, I wouldn't be mad if you had him at number 1 on your list. Steph is the best shooter of all time and a complete game changer when he's on the court. Coming in at number 1, I have Giannis. I think Giannis has been the best player in the league since he won that championship, and I think this is a pretty consensus take. Giannis is probably the most dominant player we've seen since Shaq, and he's only going to get better. I mean, he's at the peak of his game and he still has room for improvement with his ball handling and shooting. But even then, his weaknesses aren't even weaknesses anymore, as now he's a pretty capable shooter and a pretty good ball handler. Alright, that does it for my top 10 list. Let me know if you agree, disagree, or if I'm an idiot. See ya.